Hey guys, Dr. Chillin here, and today we're doing an anime episode review of episode 62 of Attack on Titan, labeled The Door of Hope. If you guys enjoy my content, liking what you see, please consider hitting that subscribe button, the like button. I appreciate it a lot, and I appreciate you guys' support in these anime and manga reviews that I've just started out doing. It's kind of my passion is anime and manga at this point, so I really want to get out there and do these types of things. So I really appreciate all the support you guys give me out there. So episode 62 of Attack on Titan. The episode starts out with Reiner reminiscing about why he became a warrior in the first place, and he talks about how he's thinking about how his mother was always sad because his father would never live with them because his father was Marleyan while his mother was Eldian. This then leads to the flashback of Reiner and the crew all training to become warriors. We see that Reiner, this kind of surprised me at first because I thought at first Reiner was the big, strong dude, the leader of all the candidates. I thought that's what he would be, but it turns out he was the weakest of all the children, just like the one blonde-haired kid is now. He's kind of like the weakest of all of them and not expecting to be anything, but yeah, I was just surprised by this at first when I heard this. But turns out he's the weakest. But we do see that he's extremely loyal to Mari and extremely persistent in his goal to become a warrior so he can make his mom and his family happy. We see that he wants to use the 13 years that he has to become a hero, which is pretty cool to see. We then cut to a short scene where it's just like a really short scene before the intro, which I was kind of surprised to see. I thought they'd do something with it. It was Eren sitting there looking at the walls, wishing something would happen, which I think we saw this scene very early on, right before Berthold did attack the walls. After the intro cuts out, we then get to see all the pros. We flash forward a little bit after the training to see all of the kids in their actual Titan forms. We get to see the female Titan, and we get to see all of the pros of the Titans as well. We see that the female Titan is versatile and is able to call the pure Titans. We see that Annie, of course, becomes the successor for this Titan. We see the armor Titan specialty is hardening, which means it's perfect for breaking in any wall that is needed to be broken into. And we see that Reiner does actually end up inheriting this, which before it didn't seem like it, but we of course knew that Reiner does inherit it. The next one we see is the Jaw Titan, which is an assault weapon. It's speedy and its jaws can crush just about anything. We see that Marcel inherits this one. Next we see the Beast Titan. The only really thing we learned about the Beast Titan is that it's bigger and it has really good throwing power, which we of course saw in the famous scene where Zeke kind of just absolutely destroys everyone charging towards him, and then we of course see the badassery of fucking Levi absolutely destroying him. That's one of my favorite scenes to see. But we know that Zeke kind of with the Beast Titan plays like baseball kind of. It's an interesting thing to see, and it's weird that it's really its only power. The next Titan we see is the Card Titan, which has endurance, is able to make long expeditions and have different equipment on it for it to be more useful. We see Peck is the one that inherits this one, which is like the girl with the crutch that we see in the beginning of this season. And we see that Pac, the man that was ridiculing Reiner at the beginning about being the weakest and he wasn't going to inherit one because he's the weakest, he actually ends up not being one of the warriors, which is pretty funny to see that he ended up getting boned in the end. So then we see that Reiner, they're on their way back to the city after they've been awarded their Titans, and we see that Reiner goes back he finds his dad and rushes in to tell him that he's become a warrior and that they're now honorary Marleyans, but he wants nothing to do with them and is scared that he'll be executed for even having a son with the Eldians, which, as we know, are the devils according to the Marleyans. So we now cut right to the beginning of Reiner and the gang's mission on their way to paradise. We find out that Reiner actually wasn't meant to be the armor Titan. It was just Marcel swaying the decision and making sure that his brother wouldn't become one because he didn't want his brother to die. And then as they're talking about this, we see the scene that was mentioned, and we kind of saw it earlier in the series, but we see that Ymir, as a normal Titan, ends up eating Marcel, but we get to see that Marcel was actually protecting Reiner at the time, and Reiner would have been the one eaten if Marcel didn't save him. After this, we kind of see the first glimpse of Reiner having his like split personality that we kind of saw in like season 2 when he was talking to Eren about how, oh, they're not actually Titans. It's kind of like a little thing that was brought about, but it's kind of very important about Reiner. Is he has a little bit of split personality. So we see Annie. Annie starts to beat the shit out of him, and we see that she really just cares about herself and just wants to make a home safe for herself, and she could really care less about Reiner. He starts to blame him for everything that's going on. Reiner then gets up after he's beaten up and he's all bloody and proves to Annie that he can fill in the spot that Marcel was going to be, that he can be the leader, and he'll prove it. We then see Annie get knocked out, and then we get back to the first scene of Attack on Titan where Bertholdt and Reiner are attacking Wall Rose, which was pretty cool to see the attack on Reiner and Bertholdt's perspective. We didn't get to see that before, but we get to literally go back to what happened then, and we get to see Bertholdt a little bit. He gets kind of scared when we see the Titan that comes in and eats Eren's mother. We see that Titan, which one thing I was really surprised was in the end of season 3, found out that was actually Eren's dad's former wife before Eren's mom, which was pretty interesting seeing Eren's mom get killed by Eren's dad's former wife. Which, yeah, we see Bertholdt look at her and get kind of scared. It's weird to see that Bertholdt is this big, colossal Titan, but is scared of a little, just mere normal Titan. And we get to see that, but then we get to see Reiner rushing through the city, having an inner monologue that we never got to see before, which is pretty cool to see. We then fast forward a little bit after that to Reiner and the other two talking about their experience inside the wall. After this, we get to see the scene with the guy telling the story of how he saw 3 kids and left them to die as he ran away on the horse, which I am kind of confused. I don't know who those 3 kids are right now. It might be obvious, but I don't know at this point. And Bertholdt talks about how he keeps on having dreams about the dude hanging himself, and I don't really understand that entirely yet, but I'm sure it'll be explained a little more in the future. We get to see Kenny again, which I was not expecting to see Kenny. It seems that Annie was investigating him. Maybe she's investigating him to try to find out who the founding Titan actually is and who has and where is it at. It was just weird to see Kenny again, and I thought there'd be a little more, but it turns out she just escapes and just talks about, and then come back and talk to Reiner and Bertholdt about everything. And it's just like a short little dialogue after that happens with Reiner, Bertholdt, and Annie, and Reiner kind of talks about how the people he's meeting here aren't actually his friends, but they're still the devils. Like, even though he spent all this time with them, he still thinks of them as the devils. And then we get a nice little flashback to Eren and Reiner zooming around on the gear, and Eren kind of failing a little bit. And we get to see a little dialogue between Eren and Reiner kind of enforces Eren's beliefs that he's going to kill every single Titan and be a hero. And it's cool to see that Reiner is being so like deceptive at this point, and that he's supporting Eren, which maybe he actually is. Maybe that's part of his split personality. Maybe he is actually supporting and is rooting for Eren, but at the same time he's the exact opposite and doing and working like he's literally standing next to the Fountain Titan right there, which is pretty crazy. And as this all is happening, it then cuts to a scene where Reiner is about to kill himself. While he's thinking of all this, he pulls out a rifle and is about to shoot himself in the just literally blow his brains out. But then we get to see that Falco hits the wall and kind of snaps Reiner out of it, which was a good scene. And he realizes that he still has these next cannons that he has to look out for. And then this part, it was getting towards the end of the episode, and I wasn't expecting too much. And then this just started to pop up, and I'm like, oh my god. So this man we had previously seen, he's sitting on a bench. And we've previously seen this man in the episode prior. I had to look back after this. I'll talk about this more later, but we've seen this man previously, and Falco helped him out previously. So the man calls Falco over, and Falco's like, "Oh, you're good enough to talk now." So they start talking about things, and Falco tries to vent a little bit how about the Titans and the Cannons and what he doesn't want to do these types of things, and then the man kind of just like ignores him and starts to talk about his own dialogue and talks about why we're here and why he's here. He talks about how people are pushed into things and do things that they don't really want to do, and that these things aren't really their choice. But then there's people out there who choose to do these things, and those people see a different kind of hell. And as he says his last lines of dialogue, we get to see a close-up on his face, and turns out this man is none other than Eren Yeager, which was absolutely crazy to see, because I'm an anime-only man. I'm sure people who've read the manga were seeing it coming, but I'm like, what? Why is Eren Yeager in Marley? Like, how did he get here, and why is he here? And it was crazy because one of my friends were like, we haven't seen any of the main characters yet, and they really better be showing up in the next few episodes. And I bet he was going through this entire episode. He's like, oh my god, we're not even going to see him for the third episode either. But then turns out we did even see him in the last episode. He was just a foot soldier who was going through some trauma that Falco ended up helping out. But in the end, it turned out to be Eren Yeager himself, which was absolutely nuts and something I was not expecting. And this just has me extremely hyped for the next episode to find out why he's here, and hopefully they go into why he's here, and hopefully he like kind of acts up, because he was definitely speaking about like speaking about some serious shit when he's talking to Falco. But yeah, that just about does it for this episode. Next week, when this next episode comes out, I'll definitely be doing a review on it, and I'll be doing a review on Boruto chapter 53 for tomorrow. I'll probably be recording that tonight, but putting it up tomorrow. And yeah, that's all I really have planned for now. But thank you guys for watching. Thanks for supporting. Subscribe if you haven't. Hit a like on that video. I appreciate you guys watching, and have a good night.